Well, you may think I've been particularly preoccupied with the Christian story. This is not so. Well, I've been particularly occupied with the Jesus story and found it different to the Christian one, the church. But I've also been much occupied with other stories, with reservations too. Obviously, I've taken from the world of science that reason and discovery and experiment, observation, careful analysis, logic are very helpful to us. Can be. We can go astray. Well, we go astray according to our values in the first place, I think. But it does modify our values. As you know, I'm much practiced in exercises and diet, that I see what we consume and what we do physically has important consequences as regards our well-being, clearness of mind, and inclination, will. I mean, obvious, if you're handicapped with sickness and weakness and illness, then it's a great cost to us, a great handicap on any path, especially the spiritual one as well. Can be a blessing, as TB has been a blessing to me in my youth. It's kept me from certain things that could well have crowded out spiritual quest as it turned out to be. I value greatly people's experience, their accounts of both living and, well, what we call near-death experiences too. Some wonderful examples and encouraging help comes from this quarter, so to speak. I've gone deeply into various theologies of different religions. In case they had helpful answers. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. So in some sense I've been more holistic in my sources and what I put my mind to, wherever I thought it might be a blessing. I've been greatly occupied with the practice of living. What we do, what we say, what we think. Much occupied with what I understand to be a person and the purpose of this universe, of the transitory. It's all been a major part in exploring and finding what my view becomes. As you know, I've been taken with the view of thanking God for all that's good and lovely, but for all that's in one's life, on the understanding that, well, in the extreme, I would like God to be as I understand it, not well, but understand it to some extent, all-powerful and all-loving. And therefore all things in our life, though we may find them very difficult to handle at times, are less so when we trust that it's of Him and a blessing to others and to ourselves, because He's most able and most loving. I've found that this attitude, this view, this holding to, this thanking God for the difficulties in the difficulties, can bring astonishing, miraculous outcomes. And especially in hindsight, one can see the blessing that comes from not just the good, but what we see as bad as well. But choose to trust our Heavenly Dad for it. I don't mean I've perfected this. We are still presented with horrendous evil, and I think that is because it's necessary here in this universe to be uncertain, unsure, that we be free to choose what we think is good and take such opportunities as we feel God presents to us. That we come to love of our own freedom of heart because of an appreciation of His goodness, not simply His power and ability, but His loving kindness to us all, His beautiful nature, wonderful one, our eternal friend, our parent, our mum or our dad. The Jesus story has it as Dad. How lovely. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.